The good rabbi has asked me to expound upon what are our sins and what are the opportunities for us to heal and repair the world. It's a very tall order, Rabbi. Uh, and there's so many opportunities for us to heal and repair the world. As the military says, it's a target rich environment. Um, which healing and repairing? Well, you name it. We can repair all the years of oppression and discrimination that Black people have experienced, and and maybe that's a kind of a healing and repairing whose time has finally come. Uh, I think that with all the things that we need to heal and repair, uh, the environment, uh, voting rights, how our country spends our money, uh, the the focus on war and killing instead of life affirming activities. Um, I, I think that we need to be opportunistic. That we need to focus on those things that somehow have got some momentum going behind them, and of course, whatever is you're passionate about. Um, I, I've been working on the campaign to end qualified immunity. Uh, when Black people are abused by the police, uh, sometimes as far as getting killed by the police, uh, they're they usually get off. Usually they're not prosecuted, and if they are prosecuted, usually they get a kind of a slap on the wrist. Um, the campaign to end qualified immunity, which Jerry and I have been focusing on, its purpose is to overturn this judicial doctrine that essentially says law enforcement officers are not expected to know the law. They're not expected to know the law unless there has been an officer in the same jurisdiction that they're in who has been convicted of a crime that is exactly similar to the crime that they committed. And there's never something that's exactly similar. And that's why these guys are getting off. It's essentially a get out of jail free card for cops. And I think what Jerry and I learned in the business world is that accountability is everything. If you want your employees to act in a particular way, you need to hold them accountable for whatever rules and regulations you put in place. And if you don't hold them accountable, it's a message to the entire organization that whatever rules and regulations you put in place, it's just a bunch of lip service. It doesn't really matter. You're not really serious about it. And that's what's going on today with cops. That the culture of policing is determined by cops getting away with abusing people. So, that's one area. That's what I've been putting a lot of time into. The other thing that recently we've been involved in with Ben and Jerry's is that we decided that we could no longer sell ice cream in the occupied territories in Palestine. And, you know, lots of people kind of conflated that criticism of a particular policy of Israel with being anti-Israel or anti-Semitic. And, you know, for us, it was just protesting the actions of a particular government the same way we would protest the actions of the United States government, which we've done on numerous occasions. So, you know, it's the issue of injustice. What do you do when you're confronted with situations of injustice? I think we all have three choices. We can either complain about it, we can ignore it, or we can do something about it. And, you know, for me and for a lot of other people, we feel better doing something about it than the other two options. I think about, you know, there's so much injustice in the world. I've also been working to try to help and free Julian Assange. Julian Assange is a truth teller and a whistleblower. He published a video of war crimes, war atrocities that are being done in our name and with our money. And the natural reaction of government is to kill the messenger. And, you know, I was kind of aware of what was going on with Julian, and then it finally got to a point with me where I couldn't, I mean, I believe this guy is a hero. He is revealing what's being done in our name and with our money. The idea that the government can do stuff in our name and with our money that they don't want us to know about doesn't really quite sound democratic to me. And so, you know, the rabbi tells me that we are in a phase of the Jewish calendar where we're supposed to be repenting for our sins, and that we're also supposed to be working on healing and repairing the world, Tikkun Olam. And for me, healing and repairing the world is a joyous thing. It's part of the joyful journey for justice. And I think that, you know, there will probably always be injustice, but it's in working to fight injustice that we find our spirit, our soul, and our joy. It was really interesting to me when I was a young man. I remember when the rabbi here was a young man. You all probably remember when you were all young people. Now we're old people. how did that happen? But I was going to say something about when I was a young man, but I'm too old to remember what I was going to say. I want you to know that I've always had a bad memory. It's not that it's gotten worse with age. Since I was 5 years old, I had a really bad memory, and it's been kind of fun for me to see my compatriots losing their memories, and mine isn't getting any worse. I'm the same as I've always been. But geez, there was something about when. Oh yeah, I remember when I was a young man. Uh, you know, Actually, when I was a young boy, uh, I was always focused on the absurdity of countries spending billions and billions and billions of our dollars preparing to kill each other, when for a fraction of that money, we could actually be providing food for everybody around the world who needs it, medicine for everybody around the world who needs it, getting people out of poverty. I mean, the numbers are mind-boggling. We currently spend, the United States, over $2 billion a day on the Pentagon. So anyhow, I was going to say, when I was a young boy, somehow or other, I'm a 12-year-old kid, and I'm, focused on, how come these countries are spending all this money. And, I had this image of these two huge piles of weapons. At the time, it was the Soviet Union and the United States, and they're these really shiny, beautiful weapons facing each other, and behind them are these people that are suffering because they can't get their basic human needs met. So that was when I was a young boy. Then when I was a young man, I was still kind of obsessed with this issue. And I got to know a guy named Seymour Melman, who was an economist, I think at Columbia University. And he started kind of a new school of economics that talked about what we could do with the same amount of money that we spend on the Pentagon. And he talked about how that the Pentagon's expenditures were so wasteful and didn't make any economic sense. And what struck me when I finally got to meet Seymour was how happy he was. I didn't understand it at the time. I felt like he's aware of these horrible things that are going on, and he should be sad and angry and upset. And he was a very jovial, happy guy. And I've come to understand that the journey for justice can be joyful. And it's only going to be a successful journey if it is joyful. It was Emma Goldman who said, "If I can't dance, I don't want to be part of your revolution." And that's the attitude that we need with which to do our Tikkun Olam. That quote from Emma is on the wall of my office, and another quote is from Ralph Nader, and what he said is that if we had justice, we wouldn't need charity. And that's what I believe. I think that's really true. Martin Luther King said the same thing. How did he put it? He said that something about an edifice that creates beggars must be rebuilt. That the system that creates beggars, the system that creates poverty, must be rebuilt. And so I think that's the work. That's a part of the work that we all have to do. And we just need to go about doing it joyfully. When we do it joyfully, other people join us, and we have a good time doing it. I mean, we're doing it. Why not have a good time doing it? And why not focus on the joy and the benefit of helping people, at the same time knowing that we're fighting a huge monster, and maybe we're not going to win, but maybe our part of it is not going to win. Those of us that are working for justice are part of a long chain of generations that are working for justice. And we do make headway. Things are getting better, and I think if we do it joyfully, they'll just get better and better. Happy New Year.